Our next session is using electronic resource tickets to assess e-resource management and service effectiveness. And this is being presented by Amy Fry, Nguyen, and Sam Lechowicz from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Nguyen is currently a second-year MSLIS student in the I School at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. She's passionate about data and how data can support different aspects of librarianship, particularly electronic resources management. Sam Lechowicz is currently a library specialist on the electronic resources team in acquisitions and cataloging services for the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. From a background in public librarianship, she discovered her passion for assisting users, which she channels into troubleshooting to improve digital accessibility to patrons. Amy Fry has been an electronic resources librarian since 2005. She's currently an associate professor at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign Library, where she manages access to and activation of electronic materials. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to stop my share, and you are welcome to start your presentation whenever you're ready.
Okay, thanks. I'm sharing my screen. Do this. Why is that messed up like that? Here we go. All right. Does it look right? Do we look okay?
Looking good.
Okay, great. Thanks. So thanks for the great introduction. We're super excited to be here. And this has been a really great conference. Lots of really, really good presentations all day. I'm really excited about it. We have undergone some changes to our ticketing procedures and also personnel in the last year and a half. I'm sorry, in the last 3 years. It's been a while. So we decided we wanted to do a ticket assessment project and see, you know, when are things coming in? How many things are coming in? Are we staffing adequately? Should we be recording tickets a different way? And then is there any assessment we can do that would help us improve our service on responding to troubleshooting tickets for e-resources? So we did a little project, and I'm going to first sort of give you an overview of what our ticketing workflow and staffing looks like. And the software we use. So we've been using Team Dynamix since July 2021. So that's the tickets that have made it into this project for assessment. We started off a little bit slow getting everything routed through Team Dynamix, but we did get that finished by May of 2022. And then finally rebranded all our forms and stuff in May of 2023. So those are some of the data points we're tracking to see if they've had any impact on tickets. And you can kind of see those data points on this slide with the total volume of tickets we've gotten that entire time period. When I began my position here in March of 2021, there was one other e-resources librarian and a systems librarian who responded to tickets regularly. Since then, we added a graduate assistant, a full-time staff member, which is Sam here, and then also another graduate hourly, which is Nguyen. And so we have a lot more people responding to tickets now than we did at the beginning. And, we've been tracking our volume and seeing how that's going. So we'll share that information with you. Most of our tickets are coming in through the web form that's linked in Primo. So we are an Alma Primo library, and we have this little button in all of the screens that have a link to an electronic resource in Primo, which prompts the user to fill out some fields about what's going on with them and also automatically embeds the link. And this is how we get most of our tickets, but we can also get tickets by people sending email to a targeted email address that also opens the ticket automatically. Like I said, we're using Team Dynamix, so that's totally web-based software. And there's a web portal we all can log into and watch the tickets come in and respond to them and take them for ourselves if we're going to be the ones who are responding. And we also have it set up to generate an email that we all receive whenever we get a new ticket. So we can respond as quickly as possible, because that's one of our goals, is to cut down our turnaround time getting back to users. And now we're going to do a little switcheroo.
All right. Yeah. Hi. Hello. Can anybody hear me okay? Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay, thanks. So I'm just gonna give you like an overview of the data set that we have. So we did pull all the reports from Team Dynamix as in like a CSV file format. So we got around over 2,000 ticket records from like 2021 to 2023, the end like December. And our data does contain both quantitative and qualitative data. So these contain information like the date, the time, some information on the users, and then the actual question itself. So like the kind of like the problem report that the user is reporting. And then for kind of how we do it, so we did do both quantitative and qualitative analysis on that data. I mainly use Python, and those are kind of the libraries that I use, and they're pretty kind of standard when you do kind of data analysis. So Matplotlib and Plotly are for kind of visualization, Panda and NumPy are for analysis, and NLTK or Natural Language Toolkit is used for doing a lot of text analysis because the problem that are submitted has a lot of free text, so we are using that as well. And then there are other smaller like CSV, calendar, and they are for like smaller purposes. And so the second phase of our project, we are kind of putting the ticket into Lib Insights. And you might ask, why are we kind of doing this extra step? So basically, because like the report we pull from TDX doesn't contain every information that we really want to see. It doesn't contain our response to the patrons, and that is something that we want to see as well. So basically give us more details on like the tickets. It also allow more structured data for analysis. So that's like really good. And I do want to kind of emphasize that you don't need to use Python if you want to recreate like a similar project. I just end up using it because that's what I'm familiar with. But if you want to recreate a similar project, you can use other visualization tools like Excel or Tableau. It's very kind of doable. All right. Back to Amy.
Okay. So the first thing we looked at was when are tickets coming in? And we found out that most of our tickets, we're getting the most tickets on Tuesdays. So, and more tickets on the weekdays than we are on the weekends, which is good because we are actually, our department is only open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And even though I look at my email on the weekends, like I'm not really like logging in and trying to answer tickets on the weekends. So we were hoping that we were staffing adequately, and we feel like maybe it's just staffing during the week is actually working out just fine. We also wanted to make sure that that 8 to 5 window was getting the most tickets possible, and we didn't need to add any evening hours and answer tickets in the evenings. And indeed, most of our tickets are actually coming in between 8 and 5 during the day. So again, we were excited to find this out and know that we're responding in real time to most of the tickets that we're getting. Our tickets come in our highest ticket month of all time was October of 2022. And since fall of 2022, even though we went back up again in fall of 2023, it looks like our ticket volume is actually dropping off a little bit. And we're really excited about this because we've been getting just absolutely a ton of tickets. But we've also worked really, really hard to try to update our knowledge base, close out dates of things, do some deferred serials maintenance in our knowledge base that maybe needed to be done, and clean up a lot of links. There was just some deferred maintenance that we had at the U of I that needed to be done. So I'm hoping that that work is now starting to pay off in a lower ticket volume, but we're not going to really know that for sure until we probably have another year's worth of data. And we're going to switch again.
All right. Hello, everybody. So who submits these tickets? 22% of our tickets actually came from various library workers, either reference desk workers, other librarians, and other just general library staff that are helping users. In the troubleshooting training that Amy does every fall for library staff, we strongly encourage library workers to report problems via the ticketing system, and we also thank them for submitting those tickets. We think this is the most effective way to identify and solve these problems that we were seeing. Outside of these tickets, 7% of the tickets were from unaffiliated users or were just like plain old spam, which is sad. But we could not identify the department for about 25% of our on-campus like UIUC users. For those that we could identify which department they belong to, we determined that information sciences report about twice as many problems as any other user group. This makes a lot of sense because these students and faculty are way more familiar with the information ecosystem and how it should function. They might also be aware of library processes when problems are reported, and therefore, if the problem is reported, we're more likely to fix it. And they also want to prevent future users from encountering the same problems. Besides information sciences, there was no particularly high volume of tickets from any other one department on campus. And where are they coming from? With a total of over 2,000 tickets, a large majority, which was 77%, we received from off-campus, which makes sense. We experience more problems from off-campus users. It's pretty complicated to get everything configured for off-campus access, to get our proxy to work smoothly, and also successfully explain to users how to use a VPN. We have a lot of high user ticket people. It's great. So we're going to take a peek at the bottom two pie charts first. 41% of our users only submitted one ticket. Woohoo! And then taking a look at the bottom right, a little over half of our users are unique users, which is really good because this means that their problems are getting resolved or they're hopefully learning something from the general troubleshooting tips that we send with all of our email responses. Taking a look at that middle graph there, our most frequent requested users. Research and information sciences, or services rather, submit the most tickets, which is expected because our RAS includes our main reference desk, which fields questions from the phone, IM, email, and in person. They submit tickets on behalf of other users, as well as tickets about anything issues that they notice. Our history, philosophy, and newspaper librarians are also high on the list because we were fortunate enough to have really diligent librarians who frequently audit their own collections, which contain a lot of archives. And these archives often cause problems when they're moved from vendor to vendor or switch platforms, which leads to, unfortunately, the common issue of losing access because these new platforms or vendors are not familiar with what our institution has purchased or subscribed to. But the good news is that these librarians are keeping us on top of our access. Our iSchool faculty is also on our list of frequent flyers because while we do have a really great program, due to the nature of the subject area that they are obviously more invested, have a better appreciation for the necessity of reporting these tickets, and I think enjoy using e-resources that function properly. Amy and I also made the top of this list for a couple of different reasons. We both submit test tickets to make sure that TDX is working. We did have a short period of time where the ticket system was down across campus, so we just always want to make sure that things are running smoothly. We also submit tickets to fix various issues that we come across ourselves and also that are relayed to us through email. Having a ticket in the queue helps us remember to revisit and solve those problems. So who gets to respond to all these lovely tickets? We calculated our response times in two major ways, including anomalies and omitting anomalies. We defined anomalies as tickets whose response time took over 5 days, which was a total of 636 tickets. Ignoring the anomalous tickets, our average response time was just over a day, which is awesome because our goal is to respond as quickly as possible. The average response time increases to 13 days once we include anomalies. Anomalies represent pretty much a big variety of issues, but are typically like in progress tickets or reminder tickets. Usually we've responded to the user in those cases, but there's some other step that we need to take in order to fully resolve the issue. Examples of this are we're waiting to hear from a vendor, or the person responding is possibly less diligent about closing the ticket once the issue's been resolved, Usually this happens when we've posed a question to the user to get more information and the user has failed to respond, and we're just not quite recognizing that that issue has been completely closed for the ticket. We are incredibly encouraged to see our average response time decrease by year. Since TDX was only implemented in 2021 and the data set's incomplete, this long response time really fits. But the vast difference between 2022 and 2023 is amazing because it supports that we are doing something correct by having more people responding, having dedicated staff whose responsibility it is to respond to tickets, and having a more clear workflow are all contributing factors. Even when we discount the anomalies, the trend still remains the same of a lower response time, although it's a lot less drastic. So who gets to respond? The amount of tickets that is correlated to each staff member has responded to make sense based on how long that staff member has been at the library and how our ticket triage kind of works. I'm second for most responded to tickets because they are my major responsibility. And now that I've been with the e-resources team a little bit longer than the graduate students, I've surpassed them in ticket responses. Amy is our ticket responder superstar because she is mainly responsible for the tickets before I joined the team, and she also gets the pleasure of taking the really difficult ones. Our workflow typically starts with the graduate assistants fielding them first, and then they're elevated to me and then to Amy if necessary. Some days I am the first line of defense, as just depending on our graduate assistants' hours and availability. And as you can see, some of our responders who jump in occasionally, depending on the nature of the problem and our staffing availability, because we do take vacation occasionally. Our Valiant subs do tend to have a bit more of a delay in closing tickets, which doesn't do wonders for their response times. And we're switching once again.
Okay, so another thing that we really wanted to figure out was how tickets are coming in and what resources are giving us the most problems. Most of our tickets include a URL. Over 70% of our tickets are coming from that Primo button, which automatically puts the URL in. We discovered that most of our tickets, for the tickets that had a referring site in the open URL. So this is not like the entire corpus of tickets that we analyzed, but more of a subset of them. The majority or the greatest number came from EBSCO. So that's no surprise. We have a lot of EBSCO resources just like everybody. We also have EBSCO EDS, which underlies the main search box on our homepage and also has a button on the homepage that's really highly used. So I think that just reflects the volume of use that's going through EBSCO all the time. The second highest referring site was Google. So again, no surprises there. We know users use Google a lot to find resources, and Google citations may have more bad data than some library database citations, right? So the open URL would not necessarily work as smoothly. And also people are confused if they can't get to full text from Google in a way that hopefully they're not as confused when they're going through the library site. And then after that, it's just some really big providers, Elsevier, ProQuest, Web of Science, and PubMed. So no real surprises. We don't have any standout problem providers, which I was really happy to learn. And along those same lines, we didn't have repeat titles that were just generating a ton of tickets. So New York Times, Wall Street Journal, obviously very highly used resources with lots of articles, but under 10 tickets each for those two titles. And then not very many repeat titles in the rest of the tickets either. So that was really good to learn. And now Nguyen is going to talk a little bit more about the programming that she did.
So yeah, so I'm just gonna talk a little about the LibInsight. Like I kind of mentioned, we did end up putting some of our ticket into LibInsight. So we basically do a random sampling of those tickets using Python, and it takes around 3 to 4 days for like over 100 entries. And we did manually look at them in Team Dynamics and then putting them into Lib Insight and then get the report from Lib Insight from there. So just an overview of the data, we have over 160 entries that we put in, and most of the ticket does come from the web form on that Primo. And then what we're really interested in is like the initial response time that we respond to the patrons. So it like the closing time can take a long time, but we want to see if we respond to the user in like a timely manner. And we did. 100 of our tickets are initially respond within the 13-hour of submissions. And then we do have a template response that we use to answer some of the ticket with like more common access problem, and around 22 tickets that use that template response. Yeah, so this is like an overall overview of our users. So it's kind of expected that faculty and staff and grad student will kind of submit more tickets because they're interacting with the materials and our collection more. And then it was also really good to see that the responsibility are shared kind of between among different staff classification. And this is like a material format of the ticket submitted. So kind of expected, like journal and ebooks are kind of similar. What kind of interesting about kind of looking at it is that they're equal, because when we kind of do the tech analysis of our ticket, we didn't get a lot of ebooks. And so I was kind of curious. So I went back and looked at the ticket itself, and we found out that the user were referring to ebook by their actual titles or by the book chapter, and not like by the term ebooks. So that was kind of interesting to see how that kind of turns out. And so we did kind of talk together and kind of create like a 1 to 5 scale for like ticket complexity. And the majority of our ticket are kind of really kind of immediate apparent like problem that we can kind of provide solution like right away using that kind of template response. Yeah, and so this probably one of the most interesting slide in this presentation are like the problem types that are that kind of people are submitting. So we did do like a lit review and also have used our kind of institutional knowledge to kind of come up with these categories. So I'm just gonna quickly go through each of them. So user error are a ticket that basically have instruction that unclear. So we got a lot of like O'Reilly just because the way the platform is set up is not very user friendly. And then we also, any kind of unauthorized user also fall in this category. So it could be they are using like their Gmail instead of the Illinois email. So of course, like they cannot get access to our resource if they're using a Gmail account. So things like that. And then knowledge base errors are referring to errors that's kind of relating to kind of display or like the display of the public facing library catalogs. And if we do get those tickets, we do go back into Alma and kind of correct those links so that reflect correctly. And then for the browser errors, so the user does sometimes include like the 400 or 500 errors. And so that's how we know that is a browser errors. And for that, the solution is also pretty simple, just like clearing our cache using incognito. And then we also have a lot from ticket that report that are like vendor errors. So those are like errors on like the vendor side. So maybe they updated their platform so the URL changed, but they didn't like kind of inform us. So like we don't know. So that could be one error that happened, and then we will like contact the vendor for like the correct URL to put it in the knowledge base. And then others are just other problems that are not in the categories, and then unrelated spam are just spam. And we also have a lot of service requests. So these are things that when people, for example, request like a trial for a database, we got a lot of direct kind of email from those as well. And then limited access just means that if a book only allow 3 users at the time, sometimes that also get reported. And then licensing errors, so things that we should have access to but do not. So that's kind of fall under vendor error just a little bit, and for that we do contact the vendors. And then also the proxy problem, if they use the wrong proxy or if they use a VPN but they still using the proxy, then it also like reports some problems. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly go through this, I think. So this is a vendor that are in the ticket, so it's kind of expected, like kind of Amy just talked about. The one probably unfamiliar on this list is probably Carly. So Carly just the consortium, the Illinois consortium. So we have a lot of material that are kind of managed through them as well. All right, so we are kind of using this to kind of assess our ticket effectiveness. We basically look at 3 criteria: correctness of response, so did we respond to the patron correctly, encouraging a positive attitude, so did we use kind of welcoming language in our response or not, and that kind of really encourage them to kind of resubmit if they kind of encountering problem in the future. And then finally, we also look at how we explain the problem, say avoiding jargons or kind of providing clear explanations. So those are some of the criterias, and I believe we are at our conclusion.
In conclusion, our staffing levels are adequate at this time. We're really happy to see that we don't really need to be adding evening or weekend hours right now. We're going to continue to monitor our ticket volume to see if it declines outside of the expected spike at the beginning of the fall semesters. And we are going to continue to explore how LibInsight can continue to help us track and plan for user education for common errors and make better training for our staff. And then we're going to share this with our coworkers. And thank you very much for attending our presentation. And if you have any questions, these are our email
Yeah,
addresses.
we don't, I'm sorry we didn't leave more time, but we have maybe have a little bit of time, right?
Yeah, we do have a little bit of time for a couple questions. So thank you very much, all 3 of you, for that presentation.
There we go.
It was really cool seeing all that data, and sounds like you have a great system in place. So let's jump into the questions. Did you think of or try using a second stream in LibAnswers instead of a separate ticket system?
Are we even using LibAnswers? I don't know that we're
Yeah.
even using that. And LibInsight was implemented after we implemented TDX. So we actually implemented TDX because we were using a homegrown system. Because this is the University of Illinois and we make our own systems for a lot of things. And that was going away. So yeah, this was like on the different timeline than the LibInsight stuff and the SpringShare. That's the vendor. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question. Does your ILL department put in tickets? I didn't see them represented.
No, they do not. They have their own thing, right?
Yeah, it's funny though. No, they don't. We don't get any tickets from ILL.
Which is
Okay.
really nice, honestly.
Thank you. How does the data address for chats get closed prematurely due to patrons clicking on reference links that open in the same window but close the chat?
So this is actually more of a question of what our reference desk services deal with. Our tickets through TDX are all like kind of via email. So you can't really like leave the chat because you're
Yeah.
getting an email. So that is actually something that our reference desk deals with, but not our
Yeah.
ticket source.
We don't have any live chat tickets. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think we have time for one more. That's a lot of tickets. Did you do anything to market the reporting tool?
Pardon? What was the last part?
Did you do anything to market the reporting tool?
We did change the button and to make it more visible, we did do that. And we also changed the brand, like the form was really weird looking for a while. And we branded it Illinois to just make people feel more confident about placing tickets. We didn't want to discourage any tickets, right? So we definitely want people to make tickets whenever something is wrong and to feel like they're not just like casting something out into nowhere. But we didn't market it except in that I do some troubleshooting training for all of our public service workers every year and really encourage all of those workers to place tickets whenever they encounter things that are weird or wrong or look wrong to them. So we try to encourage internally tickets, but we haven't done any outside. We just get a lot of tickets.
That's great. That's excellent that people are just seeing it and using it.
Yeah, I'm really happy they are.
I think that's all the time we have for questions. There are a couple that are unanswered, but we'll forward them on to you and then share those answers when we share the rest of the answers in a week or two. So thanks again for being here. That was really great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.